What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ready, Set, Replay, the ultimate video game replay podcast. I'm Daniel, joined as always by my best friend Skyler.
It's me, I'm here.
And today we're going to be talking about The Sims, a game created by EA and Maxis on February 4th of the year 2000. But Skyler, before we talk about The Sims, a game that I know you loved, we have to re-enter our mind palace.
I haven't left from the last time.
The last time you said you hadn't left from the last time. And I know that's wrong, because we've talked about other things. You did, yeah.
Oh no, I only have one joke.
You only have one joke. But no, cast your mind back. All the way back. But also 2 days forward from the last time, because that's right, The Sims only came out 2 days after the last game we talked about.
What could have happened in 2 days?
Literally only 2 days passed between when Crazy Taxi came to consoles and when The Sims came out. And the answer is, to what else could have happened? Not a lot.
Okay.
The Billboard Top 100 looks basically exactly the same because it's judged weekly. So I only look at the top 5 because I'm not going to read 100 things. It is exactly the same as last week. I'll read it super fast, but it doesn't matter. Number 1 is I Knew I Loved You by Savage Garden. Number 2 is What a Girl Wants by Christina Aguilera. Number 3 is Smooth by Santana. Number 4 is Back at One by Brian McKnight. And number 5 is Get It On Tonight by Montel Jordan.
'Cause you're so smooth.
I love Smooth by Santana. It's genuinely one of my most nostalgic songs.
It's a good song.
It's so good. But something did happen in the box office, and something that you, I know for a fact, care about and really like.
What? What was it?
I was going to make a joke, but I couldn't think of anything fast enough. Scream 3 came out.
Oh!
Scream 3, this time it's a movie about the first Scream movie, but it's called Stab or something?
Yeah,
I don't really remember, but I like the Scream movies.
Yeah, Scream movies get very meta. And Scream 3 is probably the worst of all of them, but it's still not terrible.
I would say it's still pretty fun.
Yeah. There's enjoyable stuff in it.
As not really a horror movie person, the Scream series is one of the horror movie franchises that I still really like, because I think it is entertaining.
Well, as a freak who loves horror all the time, I like Scream.
Yeah, I like the Scream movies, and I like the Conjuring universe ones.
Yeah.
Those are my big ones.
You love Saw.
I like the first Saw.
And then
after that it becomes kind of a joke.
All the Saws every year for Halloween.
I did watch most of them one year when you forced me to at gunpoint.
I don't even have a gun, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what he's talking about.
He's just saying that so the police don't know. Send help. I need help.
Scream 3... I don't even know any police.
Scream 3 came out and immediately shot to the top of the box office because it was the new one. And it bumped down all of the movies that we talked about the last time we did one of these. But so it's at number 1. Number 2 is then Next Friday, which had previously been number 1.
Right.
Number 3 is The Green Mile. Number 4 is Stuart Little. And number 5 is still Galaxy Quest, still hanging on there.
Oh, we love Galaxy Quest.
Still getting in there. So this is only 2 days after the previous thing, as I mentioned earlier.
Yes, correct.
And then the last time we talked about Kurt Warner's phenomenal Super Bowl win, come out of nowhere, underdog story.
Oh yeah, we did.
What we also need to talk about is something else that happened that same night, but didn't come to light until a couple days later.
Is it Kurt Warner?
No.
Oh.
It's Ray Lewis.
Oh, Ray, I Killed a Man Lewis.
No, don't get ahead of me. Also, 2 men.
No, he. I almost said he got away with it. He's okay. He didn't do it, or he was okay to do it. I don't remember. Tell us what happened.
Let me lay out for you the information that I have. I wasn't there. I can't tell you for sure, but what I am going to tell you in advance is it don't sound great for Mr. Raymond Lewis.
He's still... Is he in the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Yeah, he's still in the Hall of Fame.
His career only went up from I Killed a Man Lewis time.
which means he's fine. Which means he's fine. If he wasn't fine, they wouldn't have put him in, I think.
Well, let me know how you feel about that 5 minutes from now when I finish telling you this story.
All right.
So, on January 31st, Ray Lewis was involved in a double homicide. Ray Lewis being a linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens. Instead of being at the Super Bowl because his team wasn't in it, don't feel bad for them. They went to and won literally the next Super Bowl. he was instead at a nightclub in Atlanta watching the Super Bowl with, presumably there were a lot of other celebrities there. They mentioned that in the story, but I think because of the double homicide, a lot of them don't end up getting mentioned in the story as having been there. But like
They said,
realistically,
please do not mention my name
yeah, they said please
as
don't.
being there.
Hey, if you could just pretend that I don't know Ray Lewis for approximately the next 4 years, that'd be great. He was leaving the nightclub at about 4 a.m. And I'm going to try and present this in the most, like, without throwing my skew on it, although it may be too late for that.
Impartial. Be impartial.
I'm trying. I will try and likely fail. But at 4 a.m., he was leaving the club. Him and two of his friends, Reginald Oakley and Joseph Sweeting, and they got into a fight that left two men, 24-year-old Richard Lawler and 21-year-old Jacinth Baker, dead after being stabbed multiple times in the chest and specifically the heart. Immediately after this occurred, Lewis and his friends fled the scene in a limo, and when this limo was found, it was completely stained in blood, and all of the blood was 21-year-old Jacinth Baker's blood.
Right. Okay.
When the driver of this limo was questioned later, he said that he had heard Lewis telling the others not to talk to the police.
Yeah.
The murder weapon found at the scene was owned by Ray Lewis. It was a knife that he had bought at a sporting goods store the day before, literally 24 hours before, when he was doing a signing at said sporting goods store. Some say that it was a sports outfitter, and others say that it was a Dick's Sporting Goods. It's unclear, so just know that it was a sporting store. The clothes that Lewis was wearing, listed as a white suit by witnesses, was never found. It went missing. That evidence was never entered into the case because they never found his suit. Ray Lewis and both of his friends were charged with murder, and during the trial, and this is not me putting a twist on it, Ray Lewis literally lied about everything. First he said he wasn't there, then when he got cornered in that lie, he started saying that he was there, but he lied about who he was there with. He said he didn't know the people that he was there with, even though he very clearly did. They've been friends for like forever. He lied about how much he drank and just all kinds of stuff. Basically every question that he was asked was in some way lied about. And on top of that, pretty much all the testimony around from the witnesses was also highly inconsistent. Where some were like, oh, he wasn't involved. He was super involved. I saw him stab a guy. He was trying to break it up. Like, everyone was saying all kinds of completely different things. So it was hard to know for sure what happened. But during his testimonial, which, by the way, he flipped on his two friends in order to get a lower punishment for himself.
Ooh. Okay.
So he testified against, most notably, Oakley. During his testimonial, he said that he saw Oakley hitting one of the victims in the chest, quote, 4 or 5 times, and that the victim, quote, was not fighting back.
Okay.
Lewis ended up pleading guilty to a misdemeanor of obstruction of justice because he fled the scene. And that was the only thing that he got charged for. He ended up getting 12 months of probation, and the NFL fined him $250,000 for conduct detrimental to the league. The other two defendants were also eventually acquitted. I think they also saw some kinds of like minor fines, but they didn't really see any jail time other than the time prior to their trial. The court decided that while they did in fact kill the two men, they said it was in self-defense.
Okay.
It is worth noting at this point that neither victim had any previous criminal record except for one count of possession of marijuana, whereas at least one of his friends, it's unclear about the other, had prior assault cases against him.
Okay.
Also, neither Lewis nor either of his friends had any injuries entered in as evidence to the case. So the self-defense thing doesn't super hold up. Meanwhile, Jacinth Baker had entered as evidence that he had wounds on his back and witnesses saying that he tried to run for his life.
Oof. Yeah.
So basically 2 men died, and the 3 people who were in some varied degree responsible for it received only very minimal punishment. Ray Lewis ended up getting sued by both families after the fact and settled out of court for some undisclosed amount of money. And that's all that ever happened with it. That's the whole trial. And in case you're like, oh, well, maybe he wasn't the one who did the stabbing, which is what a lot of people say, although I would be like, it was his knife. I don't know, the other 2 guys, whatever. I don't know why you would bring a knife to a nightclub in the first place. Not my scene, it turns out. a couple years later, Shannon Sharp, of accidentally leaking his own sex tape fame,
And other things.
that's what he's most known for, I'm sure,
No.
was questioning
Please.
Ray Lewis right before what would be his second Super Bowl win. He asked him what he wanted to say to the families of the victims of the Atlanta incident as it became known. And Ray Lewis said, quote, "God doesn't make mistakes."
Uh-huh.
So, hey, my friends and or me might have killed your son, brother, boyfriend, fiance, father. But God doesn't make mistakes. God wanted him dead, so he's dead. In a 2010 interview, Ray Lewis would be asked what he would have done differently, and he said he wouldn't change a thing because everything he did made him the man he is today.
True in a way.
From that point on, Ray I Killed Two Men, Potentially Lewis, would go on to win 2 Super Bowls, Super Bowl 35 and Super Bowl 47.
Yeah.
He was then inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2018. He became a best-selling author in 2015 with his memoir, I Feel Like Going On, Life, Game, and Glory. He competed on Dancing with the Stars, and he opened an Italian restaurant in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And he never once seemingly showed any remorse for whatever happened that night.
I remember when the Mind Palace used to be more fun than this.
Well,
this isn't fun.
I really wanted to make today's episode a white girl hotspot because we're talking about The Sims, and so I was like, we should also talk about true crime.
True crime. Yeah.
So we wanted to
go.
really just lay out the charcuterie board and lure in the white women.
All right.
So
that makes sense.
So here we are. There was actually another murder that was found out around this time that we'll talk about later because I think it's more valuable to do it when the court case actually came up for it.
Okay.
But just to also know that a man on this exact same day in England was arrested on charges of murdering 215 people that he was the doctor for, and he became Dr. Death. So if you've heard the story of Dr. Death, although there are multiple people who have taken on the moniker of Dr. Death, but he is seemingly the first one, and I think the one with the highest body count. So there's a lot of true crime happening, unfortunately, on this
2000 was
day.
a good year. There's a lot of cool stuff happening.
Hey, I promise it gets better.
That's what they said back then,
Yeah.
and they lied.
Well, they didn't know that 2001 was coming, and September of 2001 was going to be a little rough.
You know what? Let's just, when we get to that point, we're just going to skip that month.
No,
We're
I'm
not
telling
gonna do
you.
any games that came out that month.
We'll see. So, Skyler, now that you're in a true crime mindset,
Oh yeah, I'm in a great mood.
now that you're feeling like a white woman would feel,
Yeah,
let's
I'm
talk
carrying
about
all
the Sims.
the rooting for the Baltimore Ravens guilt now. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, they've got their wins, and they got 2 wins with Ray I Killed Two Men Lewis. So, do they need more? 2 wins, 2 bodies. It tracks. It lines up. It's all good.
No, we need Lamar needs to win something. Come on.
Lamar needs to win some Accutane. That's all I'm saying.
All right. I'm walking off this show. This is I don't like where this is going.
I'm just saying he's making.
Talk about the Sims.
Okay.
Talk about the Sims.
So before we get into the actual game of The Sims, I actually do want to talk a little bit about the production of The Sims because I think it's really interesting.
Please do.
So this information all comes from a really great video by a person on YouTube called Plumbella. She's a video essayist who focuses specifically on The Sims. She's Scottish and she's very funny. So if you are interested in more Sims content, please go check her out. Here's the plug. She's really good. The Sims was created by a person called Will Wright, who is one of those video game auteurs that people in the space really know the name of. He's not necessarily in the same category as a Hideo Kojima, but he is one of those people where his name is known. His name carries weight. He doesn't make games anymore, but when he did, people knew it and people were like, okay, there's something coming out of this. He was most known at the time for his sim games. Not The Sims, obviously, because it hadn't come out yet, but all of his previous games were variant simulation video games. So he made, obviously, SimCity. That's probably the big one.
Yeah.
But he also made Sim Earth, which was you make an entire planet, and it's basically managing the biome and the life on it before civilization. I don't believe there's any cities. Then there's Sim Ant, which is you just basically run an ant colony. And then there's Sim Life, where it's like you like make weird creatures and then you make them survive. I don't know. They're all very like dot matrixy almost games. Like they are old. This is the first one of his games that like is in proper 3D. So all of these ones beforehand are like a little rough to look at. But he is known for these, and they're all relatively popular. He's actually like a really well-known figure at this point. I'm actually going to, at this point, send you a picture of him and his co-partner when they formed the studio Maxis that would go on to make The Sims, because I think it's funny. He's just standing here with his little dad mustache, holding an ant, because he just made Sim Ant, and his co-host, co-star, whatever, his co-partner is holding a big dumb globe because they made Sim Earth. And you look at these people and you're like, I don't understand how they ended up making this game, but they sure did.
Is that ant okay?
I believe it
Like,
is.
is he still alive?
No,
Oh,
it is taxidermy. It's a
oh,
big dead, but very real, definitely real ant.
yeah. That's what. So, like, did the ant get a producer credit or?
No, he just got an in memoriam at the end.
Oh,
Yeah, they said in loving memory of Anthony, father to 4 million.
that's very sad.
So Will Wright was inspired to make The Sims after his house burned down, and he was basically rebuilding his house and having to choose like which things should go in first. What were his
Can I
priorities of building
can
this
I
home?
can I stop you right there?
Yes,
That makes so much sense.
a little bit.
That makes so much. He said, "I'm going to make millions and millions of people feel the pain I felt."
Yeah, it actually, in keeping with current events, his house was burned down in a large California wildfire. So
Hey, they happened.
evidently more often than you would hope. Which I guess once would be more often than you would hope. So maybe that's redundant to say.
Yeah, I was caught up in one once.
Were you really?
Yeah, so I lived in Southern California, most of the my younger years of my life, right? So, there was wildfires that happened in the San Diego area. The I grew up in Chula Vista, which is like really close to the California-Mexico border.
Sure.
And there's a lot of hills, and then you could see the fires coming down the hills. And then our neighborhood actually did get an evacuation notice, and so we went to my grandma's house, which was in a different neighborhood, which was also not any safer, I don't think, but it hadn't gotten the notice yet. So
Well, that's spooky. You always hear stories because I feel like a lot of the creators that I follow live in California, mostly Southern California, and
yeah,
whenever something like this happens, it's always just like, oh, like 50% of the people who I listen to on podcasts are in the same place and being affected by this same thing, which makes it extra
yeah,
scary, I think, a little bit. But so yeah, so he was inspired to make this after his house burned down. And on top of that, he had also been thinking about sort of doing a micro version of SimCity. So obviously in SimCity, you create a whole city and you have to figure out like the infrastructure of it and like how the water works and like waste disposal and traffic and all that kind of stuff and like making the city work the way a real city would work. And he had this idea of making a micro version where you just build a house. And so when the original version of this game was being created, you didn't control the Sims, you didn't control the people. You just built a house and they interacted with it, and your job was to create sort of like the most efficient house possible. So they would be able to take
mm,
care of all of their needs as fast as possible and like go off and be successful on their own time. But you'd have no control over like their relationships or what skills they built or anything like that.
7 toilets.
7 toilets.
Make sure that they have enough toilets.
It's funny that you say that actually because so this game had a lot of different names while it was in development. It started as Project X, which is stupid, and then it went on to
Yeah,
Project Jefferson, and then it was called TDS, the Tactical Domestic Simulator,
it sounds a little threatening.
and then its final code name, final official code name was Dollhouse, which makes sense because it's basically a
Yeah,
dollhouse.
yeah.
Uh, but its internal like joke name that the devs were calling it was the toilet game because the first item that was created for it was a toilet because Will Wright was really obsessed with the idea of like how many different things you can do with a toilet. He was like,
Mm.
"Oh, you can use a toilet, you can flush a toilet, you can clean a toilet, you can have a toilet break, you can repair a toilet." And I was like, "That's all true." And also, all of those exact same things are true of a sink, and you could have done that. Instead, you sick little guy, you sick little
No,
man.
no. Toilets are funny.
They are funny. That is true. But yes, this game actually, when it was first pitched, was kind of rejected. He was pitching it around. This was before he was acquired by Maxis was acquired by EA a while back. But he was working on this for like I think it was 6 years. And when he first was pitching it, people were like, I don't know, that doesn't sound really great because the idea of like simulator games is already relatively new, and then on top of that, the idea of tapping into a girl market for video games was basically unheard of. And the idea of like a cozy game, although I would argue that this is not a cozy game, but people still consider it in that sort of strata.
Yeah,
That also
it
was
feels like
not
it
really.
should be a cozy game.
Yeah, it doesn't come across. We'll get into that. But those things hadn't really been a thing. And so Will Wright, his whole thing was like, this is either going to bomb catastrophically or it's going to be a monumental success. And he ended up landing on that second one. The Sims was a huge success. It was massive. It sold. It is still to this day one of the best-selling PC games of all time, like top 10, which is really impressive. But he eventually got EA to pick it up after they bought Maxis, because he developed it in secret. So the story goes that he was working on some other things on the side. I think it was like SimCity 3000 and a couple other things that like EA really approved of. But then he would also like hire his own devs to go over to this like sub team over in a different building and start like slowly working on the Sims so that when he pitched it to EA, he would have like a working version of it that he could show to him and be like, this is the game and it's done. Do you want us to put it out or not? Instead of being like, we need money for this. You know?
Yeah. Must be nice.
Yeah. So they ended up like putting this thing together, and in 1999 at E3, they showed it off for the very first time, and it hit media. It went huge in the media because everything was still unscripted. You didn't control the Sims yet at that point still. And during the presentation, which this was before they like recorded it and made it like a big marketing beat, it was just being shown to like journalists and people who would have bought the game and put it on shelves in their store. During the presentation, two female Sims fell in love and ended up kissing each other. And so it ended up becoming this like flagpole for like gay rights.
Is that allowed? Is that allowed?
It wasn't programmed. It was completely unintentional. It just happened, and it
games
blew this game up.
Life finds a way.
Life finds a way. Lesbians find a way. We stand lesbians in this house, and they
absolutely.
The Sims was saved and created in part by lesbians. So if you like The Sims, tell a lesbian you love her.
There's some like very very conservative Sims fan out there that's like, no, it can't be.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
This can't be true.
I'm sorry to be the one to break it to you, but in fact, The Sims really took off and hit like big numbers. Like it became a thing that people knew about almost exclusively because of this one lesbian kiss at an E3 presentation.
Very cool.
And we love that here. I think that's awesome.
Women save the day again.
Women save the day again. And they were also primarily the ones buying this game. So if anyone doesn't know what The Sims is, I feel like it's such a popular game or franchise at this point that most people listening to this, I would imagine, already know what it is. But just in case, The Sims is a simulation game where you create a family and you create a house, and the whole game is just sort of living their life for them. So you have to like send them off to work to make money so that they can come home and buy new things so that they can buy like a new fridge or a new computer or a new bed so that you can properly meet their needs. Like every character has these things called motives. I think there's 7 of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 of them. I'm sorry. And they represent like all of your needs that humans have. So it's hunger, comfort, hygiene, bladder, energy, fun, social, and room. Which all of those are self-explanatory, I feel, except room. Room is just like how comfortable, like how well constructed the room that they're in is, and like how well decorated it is. I feel like this is sort of redundant with comfort, but in later games it ends up getting removed for exactly that reason. But in this game, that's what it is. And so the whole game is literally just basically the girl version, the quote-unquote girl like heteronormative version of a role-playing game, where it's you create your family and you sort of just like play with them like you would play with a dollhouse. That's what the game sort of got pitched as, and that's sort of what it realistically what it is. And it was a huge monumental success. But Skyler, what's your top level thoughts? How did you feel about The Sims when we played it?
Oh man, this game sucks.
Oh
no,
no.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Although I will say this game isn't really my cup of tea, not really my bag.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be.
Although I enjoy it for what it is, right? Like we made a checklist of because like this really isn't a game you can beat, more or less. I mean, I guess you can do everything you could possibly do.
Yeah.
We don't have time for that.
Should I read
So,
the checklist? Would that be good content?
maybe do you want to read it now?
I will read it now because
Okay,
my
yeah.
plan is that we'll go through all of the different like expansions for it as we talk, like in order.
Sure.
But
Here
I
are the
will,
things.
yeah.
Here are the things that Daniel and I decided because we held hands, we brewed cups of tea, and
Mhm.
we played this together.
Yes, we put on our face
We
masks and put our hair up,
we did
and it was
not
great.
we made ourselves a little family in The Sims.
Yeah,
Very cute, and we decided here is a list of the things that we want to do to consider this game completed for
yeah.
us.
And I actually
What were those
collaborated a
things?
little bit on this, on the making of this list with a coworker of mine named Haley. If you're listening to this, hi Haley, glad to see you here.
Shout
Uh,
out Haley, thank you very
she's
much.
a really big Sims fan, and so I was like, "There's no, you don't roll credits on The Sims. How do you beat it? Like, what are the things that we need to do in order to be able to like do this review and be able to say like we played this game enough, like basically to the point where like Sims fans wouldn't come at us too much for being for like not having played it enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so a couple of things that the number one thing that she brought to my attention was a version of a playthrough, sort of a challenge mode of the game called Rags to Riches. So that was our first thing, which is there's like specific rubric for it. I won't go through exactly how the whole thing works, but basically you start with just your base money, and you have to through with no cheat codes or no anything, just like get to the point where your characters are self-sustaining and making a lot of money, and you're able to grow your house to a certain extent. And so we did
Hmm.
that for the most part. We didn't like fully finish the full checklist of like what real like sweaty Sims fans create, like call a rags to riches, because it would have taken I think literally like a month for us to get to that point, and
Oh
we just didn't
man,
have the
come
time
on.
for that. But we did do the majority
Like
of that.
we're gonna we're gonna cheat anyways eventually.
Yeah,
So
spoilers.
we
Yeah,
might as well
we
just
did use
shave
cheat
the
codes on
time
this
off.
eventually. But then the rest of the checklist looks like this. These are the goals we had: was build a dream home, have a baby, adopt a dog, win a dog show, which I did write dog on the checklist. We ended up doing it with a cat.
It's true.
Take a vacation, buy souvenirs, become a superstar, throw a house party, marry Bella Goth, go on a hot date, kill someone, become a wizard, climb the beanstalk, and get a pet dragon. Those last couple ones are
Yep.
probably very weird to people who don't know the expansions of this game, but I promise they
Now,
were all things we could do.
and spoilers, gonna rip the band-aid off. We didn't 100% this list.
The ones that we did not do, we did most of them.
Yeah.
We didn't do climb the beanstalk. We had a beanstalk, it didn't grow tall enough. We didn't marry Bella Goth, and we didn't become a superstar. We became a star, but not a superstar. Everything
I
else
wanted
we did.
I wanted to kill Bella Goth's husband so bad. I wanted
Yes, Skyler wanted
something.
desperately to murder Mortimer Goth.
So, okay, you need to understand where I'm coming from here. So, we had a house of like four people. One of them was a little me and one of them was a little Daniel. And we had a shitty little house,
Yeah.
cockroaches on the floor, one toilet, one shower. Everyone had to wait and like piss their pants on the floor because Sims are animals. And then these people, the Goth people, the Bella Goth and Mortimer Goth, they show up and they're like, "Oh, we're just gonna hang out here. If that's cool with you."
It was
Did
like
you invite them over?
no, it's so when you start a new save, when you move into a new house, your neighbors come over to like welcome you. And so the ones who came over for us were Bella and Mortimer Goth, which is great in one respect because they are the most iconic characters of the Sims franchise. And
Is that a
bad,
fact?
it is a fact. Yeah, Bella Goth is the only Sims character to appear in every single Sims game.
Is it because she's a hottie body and everyone wants to smooch her?
It's because she has a lot of backstory and lore that will be revealed in future games.
Every time I learn more about Sims lore, I just don't. I don't know. I don't believe it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, it's crazy. There's a lot. It goes
but,
hard. It goes deep. We'll get into some of
but
it.
but let me tell you about this Mortimer Goth fella. He comes over and he's just like, Oh, make yourself at home. He walks in, he does whatever he wants. He shits in our toilet,
True. Doesn't
doesn't
flush.
flush it.
Which, to be fair, you didn't flush either because your neatness score wasn't high enough.
I live there. Okay. I've earned the right.
I
He
guess.
shits in our toilet, doesn't flush it, walks around, and then it's like, all right, time to go to bed. It's like 2 in the morning. Everyone goes to bed. The goths don't leave.
Yeah, they just
They're just
stay in
like,
the
yeah, we're just
house.
gonna kick it in the living room.
They're just
I
chilling, eating
hated this
food out of
man
our
from the
fridge.
get-go, and I wanted him dead. And the fact that he survives to Sims 2 in the canon of whatever we did,
Yeah.
it keeps me up at night. And I need to kill him eventually.
We should probably also say so. Our family it was me and you, and then we were like, well, we want to do the superstar expansion, so we needed to make a superstar character. So we put
Okay,
in
so stay with us, folks.
Hatsune Miku because we thought it
Yeah,
would be funny, and we were right. It was.
it was funny.
And then we were like, we're also gonna need like one other person to do wizard stuff. So at the time that we created our family, we were also in a Discord call with our friend Xander, and so we threw our friend Xander in there as well, and that was our sort of core four. That was our family unit,
Hmm.
living in a very small 1 bedroom house for the entirety of the rags to riches portion of our playthrough. It was rough. We ended up having to add a second bathroom for exactly the reason that you said, Skyler, because people just like, first of all, it wasn't even necessarily that like everyone had to use the bathroom at the same time. That did happen, but the problem was more so that like no one else will use the bathroom if someone else is in the room, which makes sense. That's realistic, but they wouldn't like rush the other people out. They would just go in and stare at the toilet and like stand there until they either pissed themselves or the other person left the room. So we ended up having to make a second bathroom because the Sims in this game are very stupid, like very
And
stupid, and they will not take care of themselves. It seems like a lot of that though is based on their like personality stats. So there's different stats that you can choose for your character when you create them, where it's like how nice are they, how playful are they, how outgoing are they, how active are they, and it seems like a lot
if
of
you
that has
if you
impact on
max
how they
out
act.
if you max out outgoing, will they shit in front of other Sims?
Maybe. I don't actually know that for a fact, but it's possible. I do know that if your neatness isn't high enough, then you don't wash your hands after you go to the bathroom and you don't flush the toilet.
Oh, and you get
And
the
that was
plague.
happening a lot because your neatness score was low, so you were never flushing or washing your hands, which is also why your hygiene was so low constantly.
All
And
right.
then
I
and
feel
then
like there's a lot of shots being fired
well, it's
at
not you,
me.
it's your character. But then Miku, we made her very outgoing and very nice, like very social, and so her social stat drained faster than the rest of us because she was more of a social person by number. So that kind of screwed us because social is also, in my opinion, the hardest of the motives, the needs to fill up because you have to have two Sims do it together and just talk constantly, but also it fills up so slowly. So it's a real pain in the
Also,
ass.
also worth mentioning, we talked about it as we were playing. There's a bug with the Steam release of this game, correct?
It
With
seemed,
the how fast things drain.
yeah, I'm not sure about that, but it seems like there is. There is some ideas on like the Steam, not the Steam forum, whatever you want to call it, like the comments underneath the game when you go to the store page, where some people seem very convinced that the game is harder than it used to be and that the needs drop faster than they used to.
Oh,
I'm not
maybe we're just
100%.
all older.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if that's true because what I found in my ongoing research of fans of the Sims franchise is that the Sims 1 game just was way harder than the rest of them. Like
Oh, so everyone's
it
thinking
is
of Sims 2,
it
maybe.
is incredibly difficult. Like everybody, I watched a lot of playthroughs of people like going through different things because so this Legacy collection came out. It's how we played it, which was good because otherwise it would have been a huge pain in the ass. Because I still have my disc version of the Sims Complete collection that we bought at some point when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But even if you load that onto a modern computer, it doesn't work because it doesn't know how to like correct for the fact that it's on a more modern computer. It's completely different architecture, completely different.
Mhm.
Like it has different cores, whatever. There's a lot of techno mumbo jumbo, and so you basically have to go in and then do a bunch of patching on your own to make the game run. And that's what a lot of these Sims YouTubers have done in the past. And so there is rubrics for how to do this, and I was prepared to do that if I had to. But then fortunately, like right before we were going to sit down to start doing the Sims, the Sims had like an anniversary and they put out this Legacy collection. And I was like, hell yeah, I can just buy this. It's like $20. It'll be super easy. I can, surely EA will make the game work No, not so. This game, when we bought it on Steam, and this might color some of my opinion of the game because I think it did really piss me off. Uh, it completely broken. Like they didn't update it to make it work on modern computers before they released it for modern computers. So when it launched, it looked like it worked on about 50% of computers, just depending on your rig. And my computer was not one of the ones that it worked on. So I told you, like, hey, don't bother buying it because it doesn't work, and I don't want us to blow 40 collective dollars on this thing that may not work at all. And I spent literally like a day and a half combing through forums trying different fixes to get this game to run on my computer, and eventually I got it to work, and
I
it was
think
fine.
the
And then
overall struggle was like 3 to 4 days because there was just an occasional like you would just like drop in the chat, you just be like all caps, fuck.
Yeah, basically.
And I'd be like still not working, huh?
Yeah.
And then like a day later, you'd be like, the piece of shit.
The day before I got it working, I was messaging you and I was like, we might have to skip The Sims. Like we straight up might have to just move on to whatever the next game is because I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this to work. It was a huge pain in the ass. I basically had to do IT on this thing for a long time. And I don't want to say that's the game's fault. And it's also, like, strictly speaking, we should be thinking about this more as if it's the original version of the game, which did just work. So I'm not going to count that into my review score. True. But just let
I'm
it be known
definitely not
that, like,
counting it into my review score because I didn't deal with any of the technical BS.
That's fair. But just, like, it was just like wildly unacceptable that EA would put out a game in this state. And when I was talking to, again, my coworker Haley, who's a big fan of the franchise, and I told her that was happening, she was like, yeah, I'm not surprised. Maxis puts out broken stuff all the time.
Oh, very cool.
And I was like, oh, good. Great. So one of the most popular and like money-making franchises in the world for video games, still to this day, because Sims 4 makes a crap ton of money. They're putting out new packs like constantly that people pay whatever, $20, whatever it is for. Are still to this day like constantly putting out broken, non-functional stuff. Like that's awful.
So it sounds like we just got, true Sims experience.
We got true Sims experience, but like modern Sims experience. Because again, when this game came out, based on the reviews that I was reading, it did launch well. So I'm not counting that into my review, my final score of this, but I did want to talk about it because it pissed me off and ruined a full 2 days of my life.
Did all the expansions launch well?
I didn't check the reviews for those, but they were all met with like positive reviews. I know that. So I would assume so. When I was a kid, I have a ton of nostalgia for this game. When I was a kid, I played it a lot with my sisters, mostly my sister Emily. She got really into it, I think through a friend of hers. Which one would that have been? I guess Laura? What was her name?
I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know the friend, the name of one of my sister's friends from Wildwood, Missouri, from 20 years ago?
I could pretend if you want me to.
I do want you to. He didn't pretend.
No. You just have to edit out the long pause as I think of a funny name.
Okay.
Jezebel.
That's right. It was Jezebel. That makes sense. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I think you're right. Yeah. But so I played it quite a bit with her as a kid, but I don't think we ever played this game straight up. I don't think we did. I think we cheated constantly. There's the Rosebud cheat that gives you free money, and I think now that I am like going back to the the Jedi archive that is the data banks of my brain, I'm pretty sure we modded this thing. Because I remember for a fact we had an item called the Rejuvenator that was basically a shower you walked into and it just filled all of your needs back up to 100%.
No, what the hell? We needed one of those.
Yeah, I tried to look for that mod, couldn't find it.
Damn.
Yeah. And even if I did, it was unclear whether or not it would have worked for the Legacy Collection. And I spent 2 days trying to get the damn thing to work in the first place, so I wasn't about to mess with it too hard.
Yeah.
But so my memory of this game is relatively positive. Like I have a lot of warm thoughts and happy memories about playing this game with my sister. And then going back and playing this game, my top level thoughts are like, this game is a lot of really good ideas and a lot of really interesting things and is potentially really fun. The actual gameplay of it gets in the way of having fun with this game. The constant needs draining, they drain too fast. Everything is too expensive. You make too little money at work. Which I guess was realistic to like real life, but this is a video game, and part of the video game aspect of this is like we want to have fun doing it, and all of the parts of this game that are the like striving and digging and getting things done so that you have to send your people off to work and like take care of their needs and make sure they go to the bathroom on time and make sure they eat on time. All of that for me gets in the way of what is really fun for me in this game, which is designing a cool house, doing the expansions, like going off and trying to become a superstar, going off and trying to become a wizard, going off and doing pet
Yeah.
shows. All of it for me just gets in the way of the actual gameplay that I want to do, and there's no way around it without either using cheat codes, which we did,
Hmm.
or like some really severe mods. I almost installed a mod that would stop our motives from dropping. I found one
I was.
online, and I very heavily considered installing it.
It just occurred to me to ask, and I don't know why I never asked when we were playing it. Like, is there a God mode? Can you just like say stop draining?
No, no, there's mods
That's
that you can put in
crazy.
that do that, but there's not like a cheat code built into the game that does it. And that's where I wanted to draw the line. Is I was like, if
Yeah.
there's a cheat code built into the game like Rosebud to give us free money, I'll do that. If
Sure.
we can get a magic spell from the Making Magic expansion that will let us do something easier, like I use that a lot to like increase relationship statuses because there's a spell where you can just like, and we're friends now.
Okay.
If there
Yeah.
was something in the game that I could use as like a pseudo cheat code, then that was all fair game. But mods were off the table for me, and I was a little mad that there wasn't like a god mode one.
And it seems weird. You that would have had to have been added in later ones, right? Like seemingly
I truly don't know.
casual people just want to like get on, be like, I just want to build a house. I don't want to worry about some stupid sim pissing himself to death in the
Yeah,
corner. I just want him to go do a thing. Let me have fun here for a minute. So
yeah.
it's weird that it didn't already exist, or at
Well,
least in the base game.
yeah. Well, and all of the later games, 2, 3, and 4, from what I understand, are significantly easier as far as that's concerned, and they focus a lot more on what I would call the real gameplay of like increasing your career and like going off and
Yeah,
doing all these other things outside of the house. They seem to focus more on that and less on did you piss enough today?
yeah.
And
That's
that sounds
my
way better to me.
That's the thing about after playing this for the first time, because you see, I did not have sisters growing up, so I never played The Sims
Yeah.
growing up. I think one time, like in high school, there was a guy we went to high school with that was just like, "You ever played The Sims?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "Oh, check, put this on your computer." And he gave me like, I don't know if it was Sims 1 or 2, but I installed it on my laptop or whatever. It might have been 3 actually.
Huh.
And I installed it, and I was like, okay, and then I like did never touch it, and gave the game back. Probably, maybe I might still have it. I don't know.
That's
Um,
fair.
but yeah, after playing this, it really does come across more like a proof of concept of like, what if we did this better later? It's just like, well, that'd be great, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. It's and this is maybe going to offend some of the like more hardcore gamers in our audience, but
Gamers.
it I think is sort of the it is the Mario 64 of like life simulator games. By which I mean it's the one that had to do a lot of the work figuring out how this works. And
Sure.
so a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
people
I know
hold it
what you
up
mean.
as like this is the pin like this is the first one that did it, this is the pinnacle, this is what we look to, this is the goat. When like there are modern ones that are better, but people who are big fans of the genre still look back on this one super positively despite its rough edges because
Yeah.
of what it meant to this genre. And I totally understand that. It's rough to go back and play in 2025. It's really rough to go back and try and get this working.
It to me it this one Sims 1, which is the only one I've played now, doesn't seem
Right.
like a complete experience. It
No.
seems like, okay, yeah, we can do that. We can do this. Oh, they added stuff in expansions. That's neat. Am I having fun? Kinda.
Mhm.
Like I built a house. Well, we got the big lot, right? We saved and then cheated enough money that
I
we
just gave
bought
us
like the
like
big
$400,000.
house lot, and what we ended up doing was we built multiple little houses on the big lot, which
Mhm.
was fun, and also turned out to be a pain in the ass because no one knew where to sleep or where to piss.
Yeah.
but um but yeah, so like on that lot I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this wall, do this thing, put this decoration there, and the kitchen that way. All right, cool. I built a house. I built my Sims house, and that was probably the most fun that I had,
Yeah, I think that's
because
probably right.
everything else, like you mentioned, boils down to like, I gotta do this thing, whether it be, perform on stage or take my cat to do a cat show, get a trophy. And
Yeah.
it all comes down to, well, how well have you managed your bars?
Yeah.
And like if they walk outside and see a rat, which there's so many rats for some reason,
Yeah.
then one of their bars drops, and so you don't win. And it's just like, well,
Exactly.
that's it. Okay.
It's rough. When I was a kid, the only like looking back on it, I believe we had the deluxe edition. I
Hmm.
don't think we had the base game because we definitely had all of the stuff that was in the Live and Large expansion, which was the first expansion. And truly, looking at what's in that expansion, we'll get into it in a minute. If you take everything out of that and the later expansions, and you just had the base game of The Sims 1, that must be an abject nightmare. Like all of the fun stuff comes in the expansions, and a lot of the stuff that is like core to what I believe The Sims is comes from the Live and Large expansion. And so I feel like if you were playing this at launch and you were loving it, you were like, you were deep in it, my guy. Like you were grinding.
Things were different back then. It
Things were
was the year
worse back then.
2000. Ray Lewis killed two
Ray
people.
Lewis killed two people and got away with it. It was crazy. It was a crazy
Alleg-
time. Allegedly. Well, he definitely got away with
allegedly.
it. Whatever happened.
Allegedly, he killed because he was acquitted, or he's a Hall of
He was
Famer.
actually
Ray
yeah. He
Lewis
ended
is
up
a
never
Hall of
being.
Famer.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Anyways, we should have made Ray Lewis in The
We should
Sims.
have made Ray Lewis. He would have killed Mortimer Goth so fast.
He would allegedly he would have, yeah.
Yeah, he would have hired two friends to kill Mortimer Goth really fast. And then I think we also had the Superstar expansion as a kid because I distinctly remember going to Studio Town, but I think we got that later.
Oh, you remember seeing Bon Jovi and his guitarist?
You know full well his name is Richie Samboro.
I
Your
listen.
favorite guitarist, Richie Samboro?
I consider myself. I like rock and roll music. I like
Yeah,
Bon Jovi. No idea what that guy's name was. I
yeah, that's
never knew
fair.
before. The Sims. The Sims taught me what his name was.
You know, I'm glad that I could enrich your life in this way. Let's get into the expansions because I feel like this is really what like the core of the game is. So let me tell you everything that was added in the first expansion because a lot of it I think is you're gonna be like that wasn't in the game. Here we go.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
also as a thing, just so that the audience y'all know, like we are talking about all of the expansions for this game. Most of them, all of them, came out later, like significantly later. The last one comes out like I think 2003. We're all just doing like even though we're doing this chronologically in our reviews of like how we're playing the games, we're gonna do all the expansions and all the bonus content for these games like when we do the base game. Just because it's like I'm not gonna go back and play The Sims again for Superstar. Like we're not gonna do that
Oh
again on
no.
the channel. It just makes more sense for us to do it all at once. So some of this is gonna be like kind of weird chronologically, but you're just gonna I'm sorry, you're just gonna have
This
to
is
bear with
this
it. This is the best
this
way
is a
for us.
complete Sims package.
Yeah. So the first expansion, Live and Large, came out August 27th of 2000, and it came with the following items. It came with new careers, including slacker, journalist, paranormal, hacker, and musician.
Right.
It came with new aesthetics for your house, including medieval Tudor, Vegas-style lounges, futuristic, and rustic turn of the century.
The aesthetics. I I think that was almost a problem.
There were too
The amount of because
there were
there are
too
so
many. There was
many
a lot.
things. There's so many things where you're like, is there a normal wall? Can I find a nice
Yeah,
looking normal wall? No, but there's 7,000 like metallic James Cameron aliens walls.
yeah. Well, I
What's
also think
going
it
on
was.
there?
I think it was worse for us because as part of the Legacy Collection, the UI was made really small, and so you can't really like see because the only place where the aesthetic became an issue for me was with the wallpapers and the flooring. The items
Mm.
were like fine, it was whatever. But with wallpapers and flooring, because the UI was so small, you'd have a taskbar at the bottom of the screen with like 40 wallpapers on them, and they were so small that you couldn't really tell the difference or like what they were. So you would just have to like click on each one individually and like put it up on the wall before you could like really tell what it was. And there wasn't like an eyedropper tool or anything like that where like if you painted half of a room but you like missed a spot, you couldn't like copy the one section that you did paint and then like use that. You had to go and dig back through the list to find it again, and that was a huge pain in the ass. That happened to us a couple of times. But here's some other things that got added in the Live and Large expansion. We also received new extra neighborhoods. There was only the one neighborhood for the base game, which makes sense. The different neighborhoods basically just act as different save files. So
Mm.
they basically added new save files with the new version, which makes sense. There's like a new expansion, so you don't want to delete your old stuff, but maybe you want to start a new thing. I get it. It added the ability to play in bed. This would become later known in other Sims games as woohoo. It's having
Th-
sex. It is sex.
okay. All right. I get it. We're T for teen. We're ooh, look what we're doing here. We're having this like skeeved me out. And I'm not a prude, all right? But I think it's just the way. Yeah, I'm glad they changed it to woohoo because play it. That's fucking creepy.
Play in bed
Is it
is a
not?
weird way to say it. I don't. Here's the thing. I don't think it's that weird. You don't. It's not like graphic. You don't see anything. It's not like they're
It's not graphic.
like.
You're correct,
It's if
but it's
anything
just
like a
like
little funny. Um, the phrase "play in bed" is unfortunate, and
that
"woohoo"
grosses
is
me
a
out.
better way to say it.
Yeah, change to woohoo immediately.
But I think like if the game is I want to have like a family, I want to like simulate it, then this has to be part of it because this also added a way to have kids because in the base game you could still have kids, I believe, but you just had to make out until a pop-up happened that was like, "Should we have a baby?" And then a baby would just like teleport into your house in like a little cradle and you had to take care of it. Or
Right.
you could get a phone call that was like, "Do you want to adopt a baby, girl?" And you're like,
Yeah, they just send you one in the mail.
sure. So, which, and we didn't do that when we were playing together, but I had a kid in, cause I don't know if we fully explained it. I was the one like really playing the game and I was streaming it to Skyler.
Yeah, I
So
helped make decisions.
I played some on like my own personal save file when he wasn't around. And in that one, I did have a kid and raising that kid from a kid to like a child where it becomes an actual character. Cause when you first get a baby, it's just a cradle and that is the whole thing. It doesn't get like added to your bar of like your family members. It's not a person yet. It's just a baby, and
Mm.
it screams and cries constantly. And this is, I guess, realistic to a real baby to some extent, but you don't know what's wrong with it. There's only three things you can do, which are play with it, sing to it, or feed it. And sometimes you do all three of those things, and it doesn't stop crying. And so you just have to keep doing it over and over and over again until the baby stops crying. And if you mess
Because I
up too many
forgot to
times, like if it cries for too long, then social services comes and takes your baby away.
they forgot to add change it. Change it was like a locked thing that didn't become
Yeah, that was I
like
I don't even think you did change it. I don't think that was in there. Now I think about it, that's crazy. But yeah, it only takes 3 days in The Sims time for it to go from baby to a child, and those 3 days were hell. They were the worst 3 days that I had playing the game.
that's what it's like being a parent.
It is. So it is accurate to that extent. But I would also add again, it may be accurate. It ain't fun. And this is a video game. And it's
No, being a
just not
parent's
fun.
not fun. The second you have a kid, your life is over.
That's true. That is true. It also added, the Living Large expansion, added the Grim Reaper and the ability to become a zombie.
Grimm's not in the base one?
He's not in the base one. You can still die, but you would just die and then turn into a gravestone. The Grim Reaper was added in Living Large. There's actually, fun fact, 7 ways to die in The Sims with all of its expansions.
Oh,
You can die of starvation. You can
yeah.
die in a house fire, which seems to be the most
Mhm.
common way, the most common accidental way. You can die from electrocution, which happens if you try to repair something and your mechanical skill is too low. You can die from drowning if someone, as is the popular meme, takes the ladder away from the pool while you're swimming. And then in later expansions, they added the ability you could die from a disease called guinea pig disease, which is the Sims equivalent of the bubonic plague. You could die
Oh
in a
God.
skydiving simulator if the door gets blocked, in which case you just get shot out into the stratosphere.
That one's funny. That
That
one
one
was
is
cute.
funny. And in the Making Magic expansion, if someone turns you into a toad and you have a pet dragon, the dragon can eat you.
Oh my God, that's mortifying.
And those are the 7 ways to die in the Sim. But they also add, and this happened to us, the ability to plead with the Grim Reaper in the Living Large expansion. And if you win, you play rock paper scissors with him. If you win, your person doesn't die. They come back to life, and you get your Sim back. But sometimes even if you lose, he'll take pity on you and he'll raise your Sim as a zombie. Our friend Xander, our in-home wizard for the Making Magic expansion,
We made him a wizard.
was using the enchant spell, which has a backfire. All spells have a backfire, and the one for enchant is that it starts a fire instead of enchanting the item. And in the Sims, when a fire starts, the Sims are stupid, and so they run up and flail their arms at it, and they freak out that there's a fire instead of getting away from it or putting it out. And so he ran up to it, and before I could click the box at the top of the screen where he's like freaking out about the fire and replace it with extinguish the fire spread onto him and he died. And then Miku pleaded with the Hatsune Miku pleaded with the Grim Reaper to bring our
Mhm.
friend Xander back as a zombie.
She
Just a
beat
fun
him in a
sentence
fiddle
to say.
contest. Yeah.
Something that we didn't experience but also gets added in Living Large is Sunny the Tragic Clown.
The clown. I don't get it.
The clown is an evil spirit.
Yeah.
There is a painting that you can put on the wall in your house, and if your mood drops too low, he will crawl out of the painting and terrorize your people until their mood goes up, at which point he will disappear.
It's not okay.
The only ways to
That's
get rid of him are to either raise your mood until he goes away. You're so happy that he like can't exist, and so he goes away, or you can burn the painting, at which point he will also catch on fire and die. And then in later expansions, they added the ability that you could call the clown catchers, and they would come and zap him like Men in Black style.
all right. So you know how they are making a Sims movie?
Yeah.
That's the movie right there. Is it's like Sims, and they all talk in Simlish, but there's also like it's like Pennywise. He crawls out of the painting, and he just that's your movie. I think do it.
Live and Large also added the Concoctination Station, which is a chemistry set that you can make potions that have a bunch of fun effects. Most of them are just like, this one raises your stats and this one lowers your stats, but one of them will turn you into a Frankenstein where you will stomp around and break stuff that happened to you. And it was very funny. You just walked around. You at one point pointed at the TV and it just exploded.
Yeah,
And I don't know how you
that
did
happens to me in real life sometimes.
You kicked a garden gnome and it turned to sawdust.
Yeah, it was funny.
It also added a genie lamp that you can rub to get wishes, but they almost always backfire. It added a robot maid that can clean your house. It added the ability to have Santa Claus show up, which we didn't do, but we probably should have. If all the Sims are asleep at night, and you have a fireplace, a Christmas tree, and a plate of cookies, then Santa Claus will show up and leave presents for you. He has a chance of showing up and leaving presents for you.
Oh.
So. It had the ability to get abducted by aliens, which happened to me.
Yeah.
So if you are looking through a telescope at night, there is a very low probability that you will be abducted by aliens, at which point you will be returned and all of your stats will be randomly assigned, it seems like. In my case, it made me better at stuff, and I was okay with it.
They did experiments to my boy, and now he ain't right.
They probed me and made me better at math. It also added roaches, which were not in the base game. And they added the guinea pig disease that we talked about earlier. So that's all the stuff they added in the first expansion. And I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of that is like, that feels like the ability to have sex, the ability to have the Grim Reaper, a lot of the like more fun stuff like the alien abductions and Santa Claus and the robot maid. A lot of that feels to me like that is quintessentially The Sims. Like the thing that makes The Sims to me The Sims is, yes, it's a very like, it has a lot of like realism and it's like simulation aspect, but then there's like goofball comedy stuff. That's what makes The Sims for me, and almost all of that was not in the base game.
When you learned that the personality of the game was an afterthought.
Yeah, it's kind of rough, honestly. Then we had the House Party expansion. This came out March 28th of 2001, and it added some new aesthetics. It added Western electric rave and tiki bar aesthetics for your houses. It also added the ability to put a cake down and make a stripper come out of it.
Yeah,
for your house parties.
That happened.
It added like a dance floor and a DJ booth. It added go-to-go cages and a mechanical bull. And then if you threw a party, because you could just pick up your phone and throw a party, if it was really bad, a mime would show up and make it even worse. And if it was really good, then Drew Carey would show up.
Yeah, that one's crazy.
Drew Carey from Whose Line?
Drew Carey from the 2001 Royal Rumble? Is it 2001?
Couldn't tell you.
Hang on. I'm going to look that up. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to do a second take. Yeah, no, I was right.
Jesus.
Drew Carey from the 2001 Royal Rumble.
Where he eliminated himself instead of getting his ass beat by Kane.
Yep. He got scared of Kane.
Understandable.
He said, no, Kane, bad politics. And he got out.
Let's see. The fun part of the Drew Carey being in this expansion is that at the time, they actually did ads for it, where there were two, where one was a scene from the Drew Carey show being reanimated like inside The Sims, and so it's just The Sims characters doing a scene from Drew Carey.
Yeah.
And then there's an opening to one of the Drew Carey show episodes where him and his friends are at a bar speaking in Simlish, which is the fictional language that the Sims speak. That's like a combination of a bunch of other languages, but really just sounds like
Weird. And
yeah.
he understands it. He speaks it because he's been there.
He has. Yeah. So I'm like, is Drew Carey like known as a party guy? Why is Drew Carey the guy we brought here for this? Of all people.
Well, he hosts The Price is Right.
He didn't
still? Does he still? Yeah, I know he didn't then, but does he still?
I don't know, maybe. I don't watch The Price is Right. I'm not 90.
Okay, sir. He was in the Marine Corps.
Are you just on his Wikipedia page?
Yeah.
Oh.
Whose Line is a party?
Whose
That's
Line is a lot
fun.
of fun. I
Yeah,
don't know that
yeah,
it's like a
yeah. So
party.
that's no, he's well. They have the party game, the party quirks, where you get to guess the character that people come in.
That's true. That is true.
So that's party-ish.
That's
He's like,
something.
well, hey, it's me, Drew Carey.
Um, the third expansion we had was from November 14 of 2001, and it was The Sims Hot Date.
Yeah, and he does still host The Price is Right.
He
So
does still have The Price is Right. Hot Date added the ability to go downtown to meet Buster Brown.
if you know what I mean.
If you know what I mean, it's the only it's the only one where it's the first one that introduces the ability to leave your home, which is neat. Basically, you just walk up to one of the other Sims and you're like, invite downtown, and then you go and you eat at a restaurant and you buy gifts and then you give the gifts to the person and it makes your friendship level go up faster. Like that's really all it is. It also makes it so that because you can also build on community lots. You can build, so you could technically build like your own restaurant in your own store, although you can't actually run it. So I'm not really sure what the point is. You would just build it and visit it as your own sim and hope that it was being run the way that you imagined it. So that's interesting, I guess.
Yeah.
And it added one NPC called Miss Crumblebottom, who, if you're on a date and she sees you getting romantic, then she will walk up and beat your ass with a purse
Why?
because she's an asshole.
She's like an old lady.
Yeah.
She's like an old crone. She sees young people being happy. That's terrible.
It also added a lot of the like social interactions that you get in the game now. Basically, any of them that are even vaguely romantic, like the different forms of kissing and hugging and all that stuff, was added here. It added an NPC that we are well familiar with called Claire the Bear.
Right? Yeah, I remember Claire.
Claire is a bear that walks on two legs and will show up and do one of three things. She will either knock over your trash can like an asshole. She will steal the honey out of your like beehive that you can harvest honey from, again like an asshole. Or if you have a bearskin rug, she'll walk up to it and cry before running away.
Mm-hmm. That's how you deal with them, with home invaders.
This also added a hot tub in the shape of a heart that you can have sex in.
It's a horny ass game. I don't.
It's a very
I don't
horny
get
game. Next up, The Sims Vacation, March 25th, 2002. This added the ability to go on vacation. You can go to 3 different territories, which are basically just the snow area, the forest area, the beach area. You go there, you do some activities, you eat some food. You can do things like have a snowball fight, or go snowboarding, or archery.
Or get inappropriately fondled in a hot tub
Or
by
get
a stranger.
Or get inappropriately fondled in a hot tub by a stranger, which happened to both of us, really. I was hit on by a guy called Aldo from the mountain.
Aldo.
Aldo from
He
the
was
mountain.
suave and sexy.
Yeah, he didn't actually like do anything inappropriate. He just like came up and was like kind of flirting with me. You were in a hot tub getting like fully like macked down on by this lady Lori.
She was like massaging me and smooching me, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Help!
I don't know.
I
who
need an
you
adult.
are. I need an adult. I was encouraging it. I did not let you get out of that hot tub because it was funny for me. You see.
Wasn't funny for me. It was traumatic.
There were also each of the different zones has a mascot that was pretty cute. There was like Betty Yeti in the snow area. There's Archie Archer in the forest and
I
Marky
didn't like
Shark.
the Archer
on the
guy.
beach. No, weirdly there's a Yeti and a shark, but the guy that I'm most uncomfortable with is the one who's just a dude.
Well, he
So I guess
witnessed
that,
sex
like,
crimes
really-
happening against me and didn't do anything.
That is true. It's that thing that the women say where it's like if you're in a forest, would you rather see a bear or a man? And most of them choose the bear. I'm starting to understand it because of Archie Archer. I get it now. I understand. I'm an ally.
Yeah, but I'm also a man, and I'd rather see a bear also.
Yeah, but that's just because you like bears. The vacation also adds a new disease called poopy pants disease. This happens if you have low hygiene and you eat from a buffet. It's also called Montezuma's Revenge because it will see your sim running to the bathroom and clutching their butt so that they don't poop themselves violently on the floor.
I don't know if I believe that.
It's real. It is real. I've
No,
seen it.
I believe it's in the game. I don't believe that my sim would run to the bathroom. I think any of the sims would just shit themselves where they stand.
Yours would definitely poop himself where he stood because yours was really bad at getting to the bathroom at time.
I don't know. It is what
We
it is.
won an award in the game for having a really good vacation. We won the Golden Pine Cone because we had the best vacation possible in the forest area. Probably because you were getting made out with by Lori in the hot tub and I was flirting with Aldo from the mountain.
Yeah, I guess what happens in the forest stays in with Archie Archer.
Hello, I am Aldo from the mountain.
Yes.
Then we had The Sims Unleashed, September 23rd of 2002. This one added pets, and it added cats, dogs, birds, lizards, and fish. You can go to a place downtown and buy all of them, and then have them in your house. The only ones that you can really do much with are cats and dogs, so you can train to do pet shows. They have 3 different stats that I'm not going to get into, but basically, the shows work. You just train all of those stats up to max, and then you get their motive all the way up, which is really hard because you can't actually control your pet. And then you go do a show and hope really hard that you get the gold medal. We got the silver medal twice, and then when we left and came back, there were 4 in our trophy case.
Oh, cool.
So I don't know how that happened, but we only ever got second place.
We should talk about how the cat tried to kill people.
Oh yeah, So okay, so we got a cat. We got a black cat named Gigi after Skyler's real world cat Gigi,
Named after my actual little boy.
We had a campfire on our house plot because the way we set it up, like you said earlier, was it was like 3 separate houses for me, you, and Xander, and then there was like a courtyard area in the middle that we turned into like sort of a camp area. So there was a bonfire there, and it turns out if you put anything next to a bonfire, it catches on fire if it's in like the space directly next to it, which I didn't know, and so it's convenient that I didn't put it next to something. But one of the things that cats do is they hunt down mice that break into your house, and they will kill the mouse and then bring it to you and like drop it at your feet, like how cats do, which is real. I was sitting at a bonfire and it dropped the mouse next to me. The mouse caught on fire and it very nearly killed me.
Funny.
Gigi tried to murder me.
Well, the real life Gigi's a little murderous as well.
He is, but I love him.
Mm-hmm. He's good.
This also had the ability to garden, so you could buy plots and go downtown and buy seeds, which you could then make like vegetables and take them to downtown to sell them. It's just another way of making money. We didn't bother with it because it's like not that interesting. It added Old Town, which is modeled after the French Quarter of like Louisiana, New Orleans. And it also added an NPC called Miss Lucille who can do fortune telling. She can like read your palms, and she can also, if you have a zombie sim, turn them back into a normal person, which we never did for Xander because he was more funny as a zombie.
He liked it that way.
Yes, and we liked him liking it that way.
Yeah.
Second to last, we have The Sims Superstar from May 15th of 2003. And this one is pretty simple. It's just now you can try and become a superstar. It has 3 career paths, which are fashion model, musician, or actor. And there's a fame system where you just work your little butt off to become more and more famous. And honestly, it kind of sucks.
We got Miku some way up the ladder.
We won't
say how far.
We got her to 2.5 stars.
There you go.
Out of 5. So we got her halfway.
That's halfway. That's pretty. Miku deserves better, but that's all we were willing to do.
Yeah. It adds a lot of celebrities to the game, which at one point we were in a car and you were trying to guess who the celebrities were, and you were not able to guess most of them.
All right, listeners, please hear me out. I was trying to think who famous name by the year 2000, right? It's
your credit,
hard.
To your credit, you did get a couple of them. You got Avril Lavigne, who is in the game. You got that one.
Yeah.
And then you didn't guess Freddie Prinze Jr. I think you saw that. You said you saw that in a video, but you did know that one.
How would you have guessed? I mean, I know he was bigger back then, but like that doesn't. I wouldn't have thought that's
Jr. You wouldn't have guessed Freddie Prinze Jr. I was not expecting anyone to guess Freddie Prinze Jr.
Just walking this weird line of like it has to be big enough of a person that like a young player would recognize, but also they have to be small enough that they would say yes to be in the game.
So the other people that you did not guess were Christina Aguilera,
right?
Sarah McLachlan, and John Bon Jovi were like the bigger ones. And I was a little surprised that you didn't guess John Bon Jovi, to be honest with you.
It's silly to me that John Bovi was in the game.
Good old Bon Jovi. He was popular at the time. He put out a lot of I've been pulling albums that came out in the year 2000 for the thing we do at the beginning of these videos or these podcast episodes. And I think he puts out like 2 different albums in the year 2000. So he's definitely like doing stuff.
Yeah, he was around.
He's a big guy. Some people that like were maybe not popular at the time but were big were like, we need a photographer, so they threw Andy Warhol in there. And then if you got really good, then you would get an award, either a Simmy Award, which is like an Oscar, or a the Sims Choice Award, which feels way lesser. But either way, it would be presented to you by Marilyn Monroe, which is
Yeah,
like,
she's
wow,
dead,
okay, sure.
fellas.
This also added some interesting things that you could add to your house, like a skydiving simulator and an aquatic playhouse, which is basically just like a place where you can scuba dive in your own house, and spa stuff like massage tables, steamers, and mud baths. So there were a
Hmm.
lot of like fun, sort of like ritzier things added. It's fun. I remember enjoying this more as a kid, and I don't know, either I was more tolerant of the difficulty of like getting your motives up or whatever, when I was a kid or not. But I remember distinctly like going to Studio Town and doing karaoke there and trying to get that up. And I don't think I ever made Superstar when I was a kid either. But it felt so hard in this because you would
Yeah.
get there and your motives would drop so fast. You'd be able to do like maybe two or three things. You'd have to get lucky and hope that they worked out to get you a star level increase. It was tough. It was tough.
Yeah, it didn't seem worth it. This was like one of the last things we did, and I'm gonna be honest, I was like, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Um, and the very last one, and I think the best expansion, is The Sims Making Magic. This released October 28th of 2003, and it added the ability to be a wizard. It added a place called Magic Town, which had one half of it was like very gothic, like horror type stuff, and the other half was like a weird haunted carnival. Um, it's really cool, and it's also the easiest one to interact with because you just jump into a hole and you go to the place and you like buy some things. You don't have to mess with like calling a car and then waiting for the car to show up.
And your
All the
sim
stuff
not
that
getting in
you
the
your
car.
sim for some reason not getting in the car. Like it's just a hole that you can put in your house or like in your lot somewhere and jump into, and you can go there. It's really easy. You just do a couple magic shows. There's this new currency added called magic coins that you can use to buy like ingredients for magic spells, and then you bring them
Magic Town
home.
funny money.
Yeah, and then you bring them home and you get your golden galleons, and then you come home. It's very Harry Potter coded. And then you come home and you can do spells, and there's a lot of really exciting ones, like really fun ones that make the game better. Like there's ones where you can just give yourself money. There's spells where it can like clean up your house. There's spells that can put out fires. There's spells that can increase your relationship with people because that's a real pain in the ass to get going, and you have to have a certain amount of friends to like increase your job for some reason, which is really stupid, but whatever. Uh, so a lot of the spells that you get in Making Magic are just like things that make the game more playable. And then there's also just really goofball ones where it's like you can make a charm that can turn you into a werewolf temporarily, which is funny. Or you can get an enchant spell where you can zap a garden gnome and he'll go and water your plants for you. Or you can zap a pink flamingo and she'll turn into a go-go dancer and like come and talk to you. So there's a lot of fun stuff. This for me is easily the best one, and it also adds the ability to buy a pet dragon that you can have run around your house,
Yeah.
and you don't control them even less so than you control pets. They don't get added to your bar as a family member. And they can start fires, which is risky, but it adds the spell to put out fires, so it's kind of a balancing act, I think. And they're just cute. It's just cute to have like a little baby dragon running around. I genuinely like the I think Making Magic and Live in Large. You get those two expansions, and then you're done. I think base game, Live in Large, Making Magic, nothing else. That's the perfect core Sims experience.
Yeah,
I think it's everything you
I
need.
think I think that it's about right. There's a handful of the expansions where I genuinely don't know how much enjoyment I was getting out of what it was giving us.
Yeah, yeah, it was rough. It was really, really rough. Um, there were a couple of other little things that like I was hoping would happen that never happened to us. That I will share with you now as just like, hey, these are some things that were in the game. So I told you
Hmm.
about the genie lamp. So you can get a genie lamp and rub it, and a genie will pop
Yeah.
out and it'll grant you a wish. And you don't really get to like choose what it is. It'll pop up choices like fire, air, money, whatever, and you pick one. And most of the time, it's going to give you the negative result, which usually is like something in your house is going to catch on fire, or
Oh,
all of your motive needs will drop. And it's just like, okay, so I didn't mess with that because it's just like not worth it to me.
right. It's
There's
an actual
also,
genie's wish where
yeah,
there's a catch.
yeah.
That's fun, I guess.
Um, in the Unleashed expansion, it added two NPCs that we met one of, which was a raccoon called El Bandito.
Right. I remember him.
And he's a little butthole. He'll show up and
Yeah.
knock over your trash can.
Yeah.
What we didn't see is there's also a skunk who will move into your house, and you have to call animal control to get him out. And his name
Oh
is
no.
Henri Lestonc.
Oh, he's French.
He's like Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah, I
Le
got you.
Pew or whatever.
I understand.
Yeah,
Pepe Le Pew got canceled.
he did. Well, he's good.
He was a bit of a sex pest.
With the cake that you can drop down and get strippers out of, if you get really unlucky when you hire a male entertainer, as the game
Oh,
calls them,
do you get like a fat guy?
you get a guy called Elvis, who is a
Oh,
scrawny Elvis impersonator
oh,
wearing like the I think it's the Apollo Creed like Rocky shorts, the American flag ones.
okay, yeah,
Yeah, and he just
I
comes out
like
and
that.
everyone hates him and it ruins the party.
Damn.
Or if you
I,
have kids, instead of being a stripper, it's a mascot dressed as a bear, who is not
oh, that's
Claire.
fun.
It's a
No,
different bear.
it's Claire's husband.
Don't even know the bear's name in this case.
I was hoping that you were gonna say it's like a bit like when Chris Farley was a Chippendale dancer on SNL.
Oh my
You
god.
know,
They
he's
put
got his
that
big
dance into
tummy
World
out.
of Warcraft. That's the dance for the Tauren, maybe? It's one of them.
I don't.
Oh no, it's
No,
the
the
ogres.
Torrens.
When the ogres dance, it's the Chris Farley dance.
I'm gonna look into this. I don't remember that.
It is. I have for some reason that knowledge in my head. So that yeah, that's the whole Sims. I really don't know like what else there is to say about it. It is a just hellish grind trying to get all of your motives up to do the things that you actually want to do. Skyler, are you at a point where you are prepared to give a review score to The Sims?
I I think so. Um, I don't know. The review score for this one was a little hard for me. Because there's a lot of this game where this game didn't connect with me as I know it has connected with millions of other people, which is fine. It doesn't have to, right? Um, but also I think a big part of my score, which is a little lower than I think people would like it to be, is that, like I said earlier, this feels like an unfinished product that like Sims 2 presumably would swoop in and be like, "Oh, okay, here's the real game." So I think the score I'm giving it is a 6 out of 10 for me.
Okay. So we didn't mention it this time, but just to reiterate, our review score is a 10-point scale, where 10 is masterpiece, 9 is amazing, 8 is great, 7 is good, 6 is okay, 5 is mediocre, 4 is bad, 3 is awful, 2 is painful, and 1 is unbearable. So you're saying The Sims 1 is okay?
I would say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I get the appeal. I get that it is the stepping stone to where other things are. 6 out of 10 is the same score I gave Crazy Taxi on our last episode,
Right.
which a very similar thing. I think it's okay. It's a little half baked. What it does, the steps that it takes is monumental for games to come. But as far as this one goes, I can't myself sink a lot of hours into it. I don't find it that enjoyable. I think it's okay. So yeah, I think saying it out loud, 6 out of 10 will be my score.
I think that's totally fair. I am slightly higher on it, and some of that might
Yeah,
be nostalgia.
sure.
But
That's
also,
allowed.
yeah, but also like I don't know. I think like I'm trying to remove myself from the actual review score as much as possible, and just be like, how successful is this at accomplishing the things that it wanted to accomplish? Because if I was just like, did I enjoy this game? Then it's a no, right? I have a lot of
Right.
nostalgia for it. I have a lot of fond memories for it, and I would love to play this again, like with my sisters, because I think
Hmm.
that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Am I going to sit down by myself after we have done this review and play this game again? No,
Yeah.
like fully no. I because it's not something that I would ever want to play by myself. Maybe later Sims games, because from what I understand, those seem like they're more playable, for lack of better words.
Hmm.
I think I'm going to come down, and I'm not far off. I think I'm going to come down uh, as a 7.
Okay.
I think that I'm pretty well set on like I think this is a good game. I think this is a good realization of what Will Wright and team set out to do. It is a simulator game where you can do these things. I think that so much of this game has to be brought to the game by the player. Because when I think about our enjoyment, the things that we had fun with this game, so much of it was like the role playing of like goofy things that happened between the nonsense. I think of like
Sure.
Aldo from the Mountain and Lori hanging out with you in the hot tub. I think of like
Yeah.
the weird stuff that happened with like Xander becoming a zombie and like all these little goofball like funny moments that happened on the side of actually playing the game. Those
That
things
was
I really
definitely
enjoyed.
that was definitely my favorite part is how the little lore of our family kind of unfolded,
Yeah.
which again comes back to the playing Dollhouse. Like that's just the story unfolded, I guess.
Yeah. So I'm going to give this a 7. So between your 6 and my 7, our aggregate score becomes a 7.5, or sorry, a 6.5.
Yeah.
Um,
Which
is
you'll be
between.
happy to know would rank it above Banjo-Tooie at least.
Hey, how about that? So I I think this is. I feel comfortable with that review score. I think a lot of people would have expected it to be higher, and I do understand that. Like I
Yeah.
think if this is the type of game for you, you're going to really enjoy the nitty gritty, like getting into all of the little details of it. But I think for me, the gameplay of the game contradicts what I want to do with the game. I want to go and do all these things.
Yeah.
I want to build like this big, ridiculous, fancy house that has all the bells and whistles. But mechanically, what is most efficient is to build a very small house that has just one of the best of everything that you need to fill your needs so that he
Yeah,
can get
exactly.
between all of it as fast as possible. And that for me is just like not fun. And then also it's like, and I want to go and do all these other things, but I have to worry about like, did my sim pee recently, or has he talked to people enough recently? Because even if his stats are super high, if his social thing is low, then he won't be able to accomplish anything at work or whatever. And it's like,
And then
I
beyond that,
understand.
it just becomes grinding.
It
Like
does.
like especially the superstar thing. Like make sure, okay, your stats are all high. Okay, go do your superstar thing. Okay, you performed 2 songs. Now you're depressed. It's okay. Go home. Go home and talk to somebody. Oh, you can't get out of depression because you won't do anything.
Yeah.
Which, hey, I get it. That's real life.
Yeah.
But this is a video game, and like I'm just trying to. I want to get 5 stars in the thing, and you're just like, how long would it have actually taken us? Like, we'd still be playing it, I think.
If we, yeah, if we were trying to get to the top of our career path and to the top of the superstar career path, it would take us forever. Especially if we were on top of that, not using cheat codes for money.
Yeah.
This is a game. This is a lifestyle game. You would be playing this for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks. I just don't got the time for that.
Yeah, that's just not something I want to do with this game. But I don't think it's bad. Like I totally understand people's enjoyment for this.
No, I understand its icon status completely.
Yeah,
I just
absolutely.
assumed that later installments do it better.
Yeah, from what I've understood from the forums and stuff that I've been reading, that is the case. Is they pretty much all get better in terms of playability. Some of them get worse bug wise, but we'll get to that when we get to it, I guess.
But do they ever let you marry the Grim Reaper? That's what I want to know.
Yes, yeah, they do actually. Yeah,
There you go.
or at least you can have a kid with him. I know that much.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, if you want us to continue playing the Sims games until one of us gets pregnant via the Grim Reaper, you can follow this show on Twitter at rsr_pod. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Daniel J. McG.
You can follow me only on Blue Sky at Skyler 8-bit.
And until next time, play more games, everybody.
Play more games.
The game's just starting, the world's so bright. Jump right in, everything feels right. Press play, take a trip back in time where pixels and memories intertwine.